It's been a long time. Decades have passed. Races have been won. But the challenge looms. Two worlds apart, but united in speed. The time has come. We must answer the call. The only question is, what's next?
In the car, it's probably 15-30 minutes before he can get out. It's going to take a little while to get him set up.
To say, okay, the race car probably felt really good in the morning, or sometime during the day it felt good. And then because the condition had changed, so, you have to try to resist making too many big changes. That's when you get lost. That you can go back to, but you know what? You have to really resist that. Oh gosh, so there's so many factors here that enter into, get the complexity overall. So, I don't want somebody out there that's searching, too much, and so again, it's for the overall interest of the show. The all-time thing is about Indianapolis. There's a luxury about time that you can have in a race car to prepare for the race, which does not happen anywhere else. Even in our own series, we run 500-mile races, we run Pocono and so forth, and you got 3 days to prepare, and but here, boom, you got all this time, and that's why someone like Fernando can come in here, prepare properly, and feel like he can be competitive.
That's Mario Andretti. Johnny Rutherford is with us, both 500 winners. Mario, a world champ, was a partnership with McLaren, making a return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 100 we've had.
And look, Alonso, he's got his gloves on, so I asked Mario, I said, can you feel the car? He goes, yeah, well, it's unbelievably realistic. It's just the thing you have is you don't pay the penalty if you make a mistake.
But it was also interesting, after spending that time in the simulators, Alonso's response to you, talking about how narrow the track was. When you're doing the simulator, you don't have that. And then, if he thinks it's narrow now, wait till he adds 10 mile an hour to what he's doing out there. It's going to be even more narrow.
Where'd those sticker tires come from?
That's interesting. Well, that's live back on pit lane now, and that's why we're still with you, because they're planning to play a little bit more today.
So,
well, as you said, I suppose they could take two of their sets that were reserved for Monday the 15th.
They had the 4 sets for a test day and the 3 sets for ROP. Give them the 7. The original plan was to use 5 sets today and 2 on the 15th, and it is within the rules and nothing against them. If they want to dip into a 6th set today and leave only 1 for the running on the 15th, that's an avenue they can pursue.
And there comes Fernando Alonso. And it makes sense from a strategic standpoint. You do have to manage your tires, but this is a day where the track is yours. And you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about someone else doing something that causes a yellow. You don't have to worry about traffic. You can learn at your own pace.
Plus, who knows what the weather's going to be like in May. This is
true.
It's like Marco said, man, the conditions yesterday here were horrible, but today this is pretty darn good to make your debut.
We went softer.
And it also allowed them for the first time to take the car back and make some adjustments, which maybe now, if they found something specifically that they can do, this is an opportunity. So we thought it would be nothing significant if they went out again, but this will be interesting. What would make most sense, Brian, to do here? Still working on just comfort level, or because you have an open track, do you start to give them a little bit of a sense of what a qualifying trim would feel like?
Well, I don't think they'll go so far as to get him into a qualifying trim right now. I think they'll continue to make refinements to reduce downforce and drag on it and free it up a little bit, but I don't think they'll go that full way. I think they told me this morning they were at -1 on the rear wing, and you can get to a -10 to about a -12, level when you're getting ready to totally trim it out. So there's a huge step between that qualifying trim at -10 versus -1, and I don't think they're at that point there. It was interesting. I didn't quite hear and pick up. Maybe we can go back and get a replay on it, but Eric Bressman was giving him a summary of the changes they had made and what his expectation was getting ready to go out. So I took it on that it definitely looks to me like they have chosen to pursue more developments and more changes on the car instead of staying with the 5 and 2. Looks like they're going to use a 6 set of tires today and try and do some more development for him.
And he's looking at data now with his engineer, Eric Bressman.
If they use
The difference between that and Charlie Kilo is whenever you pull the clutch back in until the end. So whenever you do that, the clutch pedal held the whole time. And you put the ignition switch all the way back up, so it's all the way down.
middle.
You go all the way down, you still.
They're going
Can you give us any kind of an idea, Brian, of what kind of data he's being shown, what that tells him?
Well, all I picked up on what they were talking about was something about when he's pulling the clutch in and something about the ignition switch and the positioning of it. So I don't understand or don't know exactly what they're talking to him about right now, but it doesn't seem like they're analyzing data right now as much as they are a procedural component.
From a data standpoint, you can look at steering traces and throttle traces and what exact line you're taking.
It definitely sounded like I said when he first walked out and Eric was talking to him. Eric gave him a little bit of a summary there and talked about what the changes were that they made and what he should anticipate and expect on how it's going to respond to those changes.
each one of these is leaner. This might have been just a roll right now.
There on the fuel mixer there, he was just talking leaner. So I think we have 8 settings on most of the steering wheels to do so. So maybe it was just a familiarization with the tools and the buttons that are on the steering wheel.
8 settings. I just laugh when I think about the first time I stooged on an Indy car was 1968 for Jim Hurtubise. It was the last front engine roadster to make the show, and he had me and another college kid and one full-time guy, and he was his own chief mechanic and engine man. And there was only so many things you could do to a roadster, and it's just look at the people it takes now to put a race car on the track and to make it run. I'm just amazed with all the moving parts the thing ever starts. Aren't you? I mean, seriously.
Well, steering wheels used to be just that, a steering wheel, and that's all it was. And now it has so much information available to it. You know, it's replaced and become the dash, the messages that are sent on it, the tools that are available, the buttons, and how much that is. Just the steering wheel, instead of just something round that made the car turn, has evolved into something totally different.
And we saw a shot there of the Firestone tires, and they've changed. They had stickers
I was gonna say, those
on there a moment ago, and those are scuffed tires that have already been used. So they may be saving that set of stickers for later, or they may still be uncertain whether they want to burn another set of stickers that could be saved for May 15th when official practice begins.
Yeah, there's a good look at the steering wheel there and the tools and the buttons that are available to him, and I'm sure it's considerably different than what he's been using in Formula One, and it's an educational process for him to know which one does what over here.
Well, let me just say that my hero, Gordon Johncock, would not do well with 10 buttons on the car. He had on and off, and then they had, you know, you could soften or you could soften the bar, and they had push and forward. And one of Gordy's great lines was they were tested once, a winter test, and the old Ontario Motor Speedway to get ready to go out. And he said, "Hey, it's been a long winter. Which way's first?" Well, they're like, "What? Which ways low. It's 4-speed gearbox.
He might struggle with some of these tools. He didn't have any trouble making it go.
No, nobody ever drove a race car harder or better than he did. But he was that just cracked me up when I saw that steering wheel. That's unbelievable. Yeah, and Formula One's probably just the same.
Yeah, I would assume there's a lot of similarities on it. It's probably just different locations and slightly different settings. But the one thing that'll be different on this one that you heard him reference earlier as well will be the weight jacker to him, which is critical and really important on the oval track racing. And you guys know as well as I do, going the right way on a weight jacker, knowing what the car needs, and if you went the wrong way, can certainly be devastating consequences out there. So you're looking for more right front weight or less right front weight, and if you think it needs one and went the other way, you'll have your hands full.
Right. He just seems like such a thinker. Like I'm not gonna rush anything. I'm gonna take my time. But at the same time, then you watch him pour it into turn one wide open, and it's pretty impressive.
I think we're getting a sense of why he's a champion and how is this going to transfer to this new experience. And as you said, there's got to be an approach, a risk-taking approach that is required for this type of job, but it looks like he's pretty methodical as well.
He's clearly methodical and meticulous. And the other thing you can see, it's not just.
Let's listen in.
Then we go back to that wheel position 5, which is the first lean map. That would give you an idea of how much the car slows down naturally with the lean map and give you a target savings number. And then we can see if you can hit that, how fast you can go going back to Rich from wheel 2. So lifting typically into the straightaways, right? Because you're going to be drafting up behind people. So you lift it into the straightaways, get your gap, and then power back through the corner. And then it's traditionally what the race pace, what the flow of the race is, right?
And to try this clutch
Under yellow, yeah. So we slow down.
the in-lap?
You can just do complete laps. Complete laps and pace car speeds typically 100, give or take.
Yellow, like it would happen in the race.
Yeah. You just slow down when you're comfortable running. So you can do some of the fuel savings, try a couple different ways. You can slow down. But it's pace car speeds typically around 100, sometimes a little quicker, but you just aim at 100.
Are they ready? Yeah, they're ready.
All right, that's interesting stuff, and that tells us exactly what they're going to work on. It's one of the things I wondered about a little earlier. It's one thing to save fuel, but you have to learn how to do that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. He's going to respond. Rob Edwards and I were talking earlier. He's